Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan and I'm a freelance writer, an editor, a published author, and a bookworm. Today we're exploring what I feel is a very interesting topic. Are you wasting your time trying to be an author? This topic was requested by my online friend Harrison, who's always been so supportive of my work. So thank you, Harrison, for always cheering me on and engaging with me online. I will admit, when he first asked for this topic, I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I will always be transparent with you, so to be sure you know where I'm coming from. Again, I'm a freelance writer, so I get paid to write and edit. My full-time job, my 9-to-5, I'm an editor, and I'm a self-published author. So that's a little bit about my background. I don't know everything. In fact, I have a ton to learn, but here's one thing I can very confidently tell you with absolute certainty. If you are writing books, your main top number one reason for doing so should be that you love it, and this is the equally important part, you have zero attachment to the outcome. Period. End of story. I know this is hard, might be a little bit of tough love, but here's why I'm so confident about this. Let's say that you want to be an author for the fame and fortune. Generally speaking, only a tiny percentage of authors ever reach that level. Second, even if you do, it can take a really long time. I know this sounds harsh, but we all have to ask ourselves, what if we never make it by those standards? When you become hyper-fixated on the end result, and you allow the end result to determine whether the whole journey was worth it or not, that's a huge gamble. You are potentially setting yourself up for massive disappointment. Writing a book takes too much time and effort to do it for any reason other than you love it. If you can keep that in mind, if you love the writing process and it brings you joy, then it's never a waste of time, ever. Now, I don't want to make any assumptions, but I think Harrison might have been asking this in the context of, how do you know you're good enough to be an author? How do you know it's worth the time? How can you tell if you're a bad author and you should therefore quit? Well, in my opinion, it still goes back to what I said a moment ago. If you enjoy writing and that's why you want to be an author, that's all you need to know. Now, for the heck of it, let's look at this another way. Let's say you love writing and you want to make a career out of it. That's me. I love writing, that's number one, but I'll be honest, I want to do this for a living. Side note, I want to be transparent. I'm very goal-oriented and it took me a long time, years and years, to stop obsessing over the outcome, because what I want is a literary agent. I want to go the route of traditional publishing. If you watched this video, you know I've been writing books and querying agents for over a decade with no luck. I had to adjust my mindset and go back to why I started in the first place, and that is, I love to write. It was hard, but I did it, and you can too. All right, anyway, how do I know if I'm actually any good at this? What if I suck and I just don't realize it? Before I realized how competitive this industry is, I knew getting an agent would be hard, but because I've been writing professionally for so long, like 15 years, I thought that I would write a book and get an offer. Let me tell you this process has been humbling. How can you gauge whether or not you have real potential? Here's how I look at it for myself. This might look different for you. One thing working in my favor, I've made a lot of money from my content for many years, okay? When I was freelancing full-time, I was making well into the six figures blogging. Now, I know blogs are very different from books, but for me, that was a good sign that, okay, I must be doing something right. My work has gone viral many times. I've Googled things and landed on my own content. I've won awards for my writing. I've written for very large publications, both online and in print. This kind of comes a little secondary, but I've gotten a lot of verbal praise from people who've read my manuscripts. I say this comes secondary because, of course, it would be difficult for even a stranger to look me in the face and be like, yeah, I read your manuscript and it sucks. But I have had beta readers and close friends that I trust completely who've read my work, provided very constructive feedback, and they've reassured me that they enjoyed my writing. So I don't think they were blowing smoke on my bum. Also, I treat writing like a muscle that I need to make stronger. Just like I do a lot of squats to get a bigger booty, I do things to become a stronger writer. I consume a lot of content in the genre I'm writing. I took a master class one time. I've attended a few workshops, a writing conference, things like that. I consider myself a student at heart, and I want to learn everything I possibly can about telling a great story. This is how I can confidently say that I take being an author very seriously. I'm very invested and committed, and I'm confident that it shows in my work. Do any of these things guarantee my success? No, of course not. If that were the case, I'd probably have an agent already. This is just a really tough industry. But what I try to do is tip the odds in my favor as much as possible. And I do this by taking even very small actions to give me more solid ground to stand on. So, who is wasting their time trying to be an author? People who are only doing it for the outcome. I'd say that's the only instance in which I'd be like, don't bother. Not because I don't think you can make it, but because if all you want is money or recognition, there are way easier ways to get it. If you write because you love to write, you've already made it. If in addition you want to be an author as your profession like I do, then start thinking about how you can better invest in yourself and improve your craft. I hope that answers your question, Harrison. Again, thank you for the topic. I had to think about this one a little bit because I know it's easy for us to look at writers who we deem not good enough. Or, we read a book that seems really sloppy or something like that. And we think, what are you doing? You could never be a writer. But I do think we need to be cautious not to judge too quickly. If I look back at stuff I wrote years ago, and I'm sure we could all say this, I look at some of my old work and I think, oh my God, because we get better over time. Writing isn't the type of thing where you either got it or you don't. I think some people do have maybe a natural talent, or they might naturally have a way with words. They will still need to practice. And 10 years from now, they're still gonna look back on their writing from 10 years ago and be like, oh my God, that's terrible. Because with practice, anyone can get better at anything. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and tell YouTube that you like my content. I'm never here to sell you anything. All I ask for is your engagement and your support. See you next time.